What makes you think this future that we're always talking about is so close?
Oh my goodness. We are on the threshold of an explosion in innovation, and crypto is symptomatic of it. The seeds for what is about to happen were planted during the 20 years that ended with the tech and telecom bubble. Those seeds have been gestating for 20 to 25 years, sometimes 30 years, and are now beginning to blossom. They are exploding into existence. So we think there are 5 major platforms, 14 different technologies that are all getting ready to move into the sweet spot of their S-curves. And there are going to be convergences between and among these technologies. So you're going to have one S-curve feeding another, and creating explosive energy and explosive growth. And I think in the crypto space, we're going to see blockchain technology and artificial intelligence converge and cause explosive reactions. So it's pretty exciting. Just to get back to investing in the future, when I was trying to explain to someone what I wanted to do before starting Ark, and who's not in our business, he said to me, "Oh, you mean that in the future of investing is investing in the future?" And I said, "You got it." Well, now, when I started in the business, that's the only way people thought about investing. And then we went through the tech and telecom bust, and then the 08-09 meltdown, and we ended up with huge risk aversion in the markets and a tendency to invest very much like the broad-based indices out there. In other words, not adding much more value than the indices themselves. And the indices are where they are because of what has happened historically. The largest companies, the most heavily weighted companies in these indices are there because of their past success. But if we're right, and all of this disruptive innovation is about to explode, well, they are in harm's way.
So what are your thoughts on Ether as an asset and the Ethereum network? Cathie was talking about decentralized finance earlier. Maybe we can couch it in those terms. Wondering if we could start with you, Cathie, your thoughts on Ethereum and what's going on in the decentralized finance landscape and how that adds to the sound money value proposition that Bitcoin brings.
We've been evolving our point of view on Ether. When we started our analysis, we were pretty much, and this was with Chris, Bitcoin was what we needed to understand first. But we were keeping our eye on all of the other assets, and we stuck pretty closely to the thesis, the FAT protocol thesis that Chris's partner Joel Monegro came up with at Union Square Ventures. Which says that the value accrual will take place more at the currency level. And we believe there would be only a few currencies in the world, much like there are today. We thought Bitcoin would be the reserve currency, and we were looking for the other currencies. And Ether was showing up as a very strong second. I have been surprised at how Ether and the Ethereum network is mushrooming with stable coins, NFTs, decentralized finance. It's clearly satisfying a huge unmet need. One of those needs is yield out there. And we see that in the fixed income markets, the ridiculous rallies that have taken place, taking junk bond yields down to just a couple of 100 basis points above treasuries. That's kind of nuts. So this hunger for yield is being satisfied by a much more efficient financial ecosystem. And I think many more people are more open-minded to it as well. Let's see, one of the things that has struck me from the beginning, and when Chris started at Ark, which was very close to the beginning of the firm, I remember saying very early on, follow the developers, follow the developers. Well, using that metric, Ethereum is off the charts, whereas Bitcoin is steady as she goes, still increasing, steady as she goes, but clearly Ethereum, decentralized finance, NFTs, have hit a responsive chord. I think bringing the creator community into this ecosystem is, helping it go a little bit viral more quickly than we would have expected.
But now that we've unlocked this new internet native risk-free rate with Ether staking, how do you think that's going to impact global yields and global investment appetite as Ethereum gets more and more adopted, if it does get more and more adopted over time?
Well, I think part of the heightened regulatory talk here in the United States and elsewhere, but it's really taken off in the last few months here. What you are talking about, the yield, has attracted so much interest that the banks themselves are beginning to feel it. I have been shocked. I listened to especially JP Morgan's call. It's a good kind of staple to understand what's going on in the banking industry. And, in a V-shaped recovery, Jamie Dimon was telling us that their loan growth would be negative through the end of this year. I said, what? And I began to think, could it be? Could what's going on in the Ethereum world already be impacting banks? Prices are determined at the margin. And so this could be really hurting the banks. And I think I'm going to take a very close look during the next few earnings seasons to see if we can dimension it. It doesn't seem like it is big enough yet, but I'm beginning to wonder, the search for yield, which again, the extremes, the bond market in the traditional world, I believe is in a bubble, certainly on the corporate credit side, which is where the risk is. And I can't help but believe that others believe the same and are searching elsewhere for yield, especially the hedge funds, I would say. That's the first thing that comes to mind when you ask your question. And now you're going to have to rephrase your question if you want me to go any further.
Well, I just want to follow up on that, because the podcast and the movement we have here is called Bankless, right? So we've seen this for a while, but we're actually not sure that the banks are actually worried about it right now.
Oh, I think
they are?
Oh, definitely. I think part of the regulatory heat that is taking place now is because the banks are beginning to see how much this is going to hollow them out.